I have the clip here from the red flag incident. Obviously, Jimmy Johnson, for those of you that watched the race, tagged the wall with 6 laps to go. We'll go ahead and we'll play the clip. You can see the fan reaction. And then the first guy I want to talk about it here is Billy Vincent. We'll go to Billy and then pass it around the room.
Oh, crash! Jimmy Johnson in the wall! And this could change everything.
Marcus Ericsson's teammate, Jimmy Johnson. This will bring out the yellow with 6 to go. And we might see a red flag.
So, in the hands of race control, red flag. Whoa. Red flag. This changes the game totally.
There is nothing Marcus Ericsson wanted to see less.
Billy, let's pass it to you. You were obviously on with the 7 car for Felix Rosenquist as a team for competition director with Arrow McLaren. That's a godsend in both cars' ways. Let's go from both your personal view on that, where you thought the red flag was, and then as a guy who's been around the sport and the series for decades now and seen the race go either way, what was your take on it?
I'm all about, let's finish the race, right? So under green, so if you throw a red, it's fine, right? Give everybody a chance, and we're also then fuel mileage, all that stuff. Throw a red and let's go for it.
And Callum, as a guy who was competing in the race, obviously it didn't affect you. Unfortunately, your day ended a little bit sooner, but your first time to the event, I don't know how much you had studied the races before. I'm sure you did quite a bit. What was your take? I mean, at that point, you're kind of just as much a fan as you were a driver in the race when it came out.
Yeah, obviously I spent a bit of time in the medical center, so once I was allowed out, I didn't expect it. I know they'd done it before, but I wasn't sure that was going to happen, and it's not something necessarily normal from my side to do. And I understand from the entertainment point of view, I would have been gutted if I was in Marcus's position because you had a 3-second lead and race was kind of under control with 5 laps to go. But it made for a good spectacle, and at the end of the day, worked out the way it should have without any big problems.
Well, I think there's definitely comes down to the opinion of who's in what seat, right? Marcus Ericsson for sure was probably pretty upset, but obviously he still pulled through as the fastest driver. But I personally think, from even just a marketing perspective, it's so important to finish a race under green and actually see a race. And what better show is there than a green-white checker? And somebody that comes from, I have a pretty solid background in circle track racing. We never ever ended a race under caution because it was a show at the end of the day. And the first time I ran a Formula car, I was in an instance where I had to start from the back, came to the front, and then, obviously the lead pack was gone and there was a caution and they ended the race under caution. I was stoked to have a shot at it again. And that was kind of taken away. So I could see both sides of it, but I think as a promotion, which is what at the end of the day professional auto racing is a show, I think the show must always go on, and every race should end under green.
Braden, what about you? I mean, you obviously are on the road to Indy, right? You've firsthand have gone through the risk of running at IMS. Granted, it was on the GP circuit, but a near career-ending injury, near life-ending injury, right? I mean, with the way it could have gone wrong, there's obviously a danger. Rod Clenard just commenting here, talking about 30 Indy cars on an oval and any oval, let alone Indy with all the stakes on the line, it can be dangerous. It's not the safest thing to do. What do you think, and what do you think about it as a driver that hopefully will be competing in that race someday?
Yeah, I mean, I thought there was no problems with what happened. I thought that IndyCar did the right thing. Obviously, yeah, I mean, in this circumstance, it really does suck for, obviously ended up winning, but if you're in the lead and you've got a 3-4 second lead or whatever it was, you don't want to see yellow coming out. And 5 laps to go, you don't want to see a red coming out.
Callum, going to you, right, with the European background that you got, right? You hadn't done oval race until you came over here. And I think almost there's, and you can back me up on it or tell me I'm crazy, but it seems like the way that the vibe comes from Europe over here is not only is our ovals crazy, but they're also a little bit silly, right? And there's a danger running 230, 240 miles an hour, moving forward, whether or not there's a rule or not, but, you look to maybe next year, right? Whether you're in Marcus's position or the other position, knowing the risks that you're putting your lives on the line running in that kind of race, would you prefer that to kind of be the standard going forward, that we're going to do everything we can to, even if it means a 2-lap shootout a lot of the time?
I think that was pretty set. As soon as I joined IndyCar, I understood that at the end of the day, it's going to be more for entertainment, like in terms of the penalties, in terms of the way the race runs with the safety cars and the cautions and that, it's understandable. So that's just something as a driver you accept, and you know that it's going to be on that side of things. Whereas from Europe, they kind of focus more on who's the quickest and not to ruin anything racing wise from a sporting side. And both have their pros and cons. It's just different, and you have to accept it. But coming from Europe with the ovals, yeah, for sure, there's something that a lot of people are skeptical about. Myself as well, until you kind of get used to it. Even for me, I don't know if I really like them. I do them because well, at the end of the day, have to. But yeah, they're an intimidating thing. They're you know, the risk versus reward as well is massive. And especially in those races, to overtake someone, most of the time they cover off the inside and you're forced to go on the outside, and it's a game of chicken.
Braden, what do you think, man? I mean, do you like finishes like this more? I mean, like Callum said, he's accepted kind of you're in there for the show, and sometimes that pays off for you when you're not the fastest guy. Sometimes when you're fastest guy, it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, if the question you're asking is, like obviously the distinction between basically making ruling for trying to generate excitement and entertainment versus a more purist perspective, I'm always one to lean towards just legitimate racing. Everyone should have an equal shot, and at the end of the day, if they're doing their job right, then they're giving everyone an equal shot and the best driver wins. Where some people might be saying you're generating entertainment, I think that they were just allowing a race to happen. I always like it to be just more straight up, just legitimate racing. Don't try to fabricate anything. Don't try to make it like NASCAR. Don't try to do stages. Just make it proper, make it legit, and don't do any gimmicks, but also allow there to be a race.
Gotcha. So you'd be in the category, right, where let's say throw the red and give it a shot to end on the green, but if you wreck with 2 or 3 to go, or let's say it's 2 to go, right, you don't want overtime in it. You wouldn't want to see that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Especially with IndyCar. I mean, that's not even really possible, period, just because you have people that are super tight on fuel, and fuel strategy is so big. But yeah, definitely don't want any overtimes or anything like that.
I think they played it perfectly. The only problem I have with all of this is the consistency point of view. So
right.
That was expected, and I didn't know they did it, but I could see that it was going to happen. But for example, if we take the F1 race in Abu Dhabi, that was not expected from anyone's point of view. So 99% of the time, Mercedes would have won that race and won the championship because of how the rules are. So everyone expected to do that, and you react off of that. So if there's consistency, I'm happy. And I think as a driver, I understand there's going to be more for entertainment. So I expect these things. But on the other side, if I was in Europe, I wouldn't.